back for the Constitution Line by Line. I'm Paul Fabrizio.
And I'm Don Frazier. I'm history. He's poli-sci.
Yes.
So we're angling in on the Constitution.
From two different perspectives.
Yes.
But you notice we haven't been disagreeing with each other much.
No, it hadn't been too cantankerous yet.
Yeah. Maybe later.
Oh, it's coming. Absolutely. So what's the line this time?
Okay, we are on Article 1, Section 2, Clause 2.
Wow.
Qualifications of members of the House of Representatives.
Lay them on me.
Okay? And by the way, I think a lot of people already know this part of the Constitution.
Really?
Yeah. When I talk to my students, how old do you have to be in the House of Representatives? Most of the students know it's like 25 years of age.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's out there.
We got some youngsters in there now.
Yes, we do. We do. I forgot. We do.
Yeah.
The youngest is 29 currently. So, all right. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of the state in which he shall be chosen.
So you can't be living in Nebraska and be a representative of Texas.
Correct.
Okay. You had to look.
Well,
wait a second.
There's things that go through my mind.
Yes.
Because in essence, just using the residency part of this.
Sure.
Each state in the end determines what are the rules for residency. How long do you have to be there?
Yeah. So it could have been like a carpetbagger situation.
Right. And have there been carpetbaggers?
Oh, absolutely. There still are.
Of course.
I can't win from my home district, but I'll move to your district and run against you.
One of my students was talking about there apparently was someone who was running for Congress this last time in Georgia who seemed to have maintained maybe a P.O. box in Georgia, but was actually living across the border in Tennessee.
Remarkable.
So who would have thought?
Who'd have thought it?
You know, I used to live in Georgia. I've been to Tennessee. I'd rather live in Georgia. Is that the wrong thing to say?
No, it's fine. You're welcome to your opinion.
Yeah,
you're from California, man, so you're
true.
largely immune from all that.
So, but there are parts of Tennessee that are absolutely beautiful, though.
Yeah,
I do
agree.
want to say. Hillary Clinton is who I think about when I look at
Ooh,
this.
carpetbagger, Hillary Clinton.
She was living at the White House when she was elected to the U.S. Senate.
From New York.
From New York. And so how did that happen? Well, they bought a house in New York.
Chappaqua.
And she established whatever the residency requirement was. And the Constitution only requires, when elected, be an inhabitant of the state. So she made that by whatever the definition of is when elected.
It's easier to be a representative from New York and live in the White House than it is to establish legal residency for in-state tuition in the state of Indiana.
Okay.
I know that
he
for
knows
a fact,
this for
from
a fact.
personal experience.
Yes. Yeah, and today, who thinks about residency? The number one time you think about it usually when you think about your kids going to college.
Yeah,
or
in-state or out-of-state tuition.
Yeah, that's a huge deal.
It is. It's a factor of 3 and 4 and 5.
Yeah. So, but anyway, each state determines its residency. When you move to a state, how quickly do you have to get a license, a driver's license?
Sure.
You know, things like that. When are you're responsible for taxes, all that kind of stuff. All goes back to this. And when do you have to live in your state? Now, have there been people who've maintained a residence in one state by supposedly declaring their mother's house as their home, but in reality living in Washington, D.C.? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That happens all the time. But when you have elections every 2 years for members of the House of Representatives.
If you don't like it, boot them.
Yeah. Kick them out of there. So, okay, let's go to the first part. You have to be 25 years of age.
Now, that was a significantly much larger proportion of the expected lifespan
Right.
back in that time period.
Do you know what the lifespan was? Was it even 50?
You know, it was probably somewhere in that 50 range. If I had to guess, I don't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You know, life expectancy through time is not one of my things.
Okay. So someone who reached the age of 25, the expectation was they would have significant life experiences.
Yeah.
And
They'd almost be middle-aged.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So whereas today, that seems awful young.
Yeah, I think they shouldn't even be declared adults until they're 26.
And
That's kind of what we've done with like Obamacare and with insurance.
Yes, that's true. Driver's insurance, and health insurance.
And health insurance.
Yeah. But you look at some of the research on brains and when is a brain fully developed, and
For college women, it's probably 18. For college men, it's probably 25.
The science is actually saying that it's later. It's in your mid-20s or so.
For both of them?
Yeah.
Huh.
And I, to be honest, I don't know if there's a difference between males and females.
I can tell you from my classroom experience.
Yeah, I can do. But either way, in terms of our brain, it's not fully developed until you're in your mid-20s, which is when you can get elected to Congress.
So you're a jello head until then.
Exactly.
Wow.
And when do you really attain adulthood? When do people really feel like they're an adult? And it turns out surveys are saying people really don't feel like it today until they're in their late 30s.
Wow.
So we're electing people at the age of 25.
Yeah, but they'd probably already buried 3 babies. Their parents are probably already dead by then. I mean, it's
back then.
When
yes.
you're 25 years old in 1790,
yes,
you've gone through a lot more trauma.
And if you're a male, you served in the war.
Yeah,
the Revolutionary War. Who knows what kind of dangers you've had to deal with.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about your background.
Chupacabras and cougars.
Yeah, so this is a whole different situation.
Indians.
So there you go. She's listing
I'm
all
just
the things.
cataloging all the things that could kill you back then. Yeah, so these people.
And don't forget bad water.
Bad water. Oh, yeah. Number one killer. Mosquitoes, of course, always.
Yeah.
Number one killer of human beings.
Yeah, dysentery. Yuck.
Yeah, so I mean, the 25-year-old back then is a lot older than a 25-year-old is now.
Yes.
So
now, have we elected members of Congress who are 25? The answer is yes.
Oh, yes.
And we've actually elected members of the House who were not even 25, and they had to wait until their 25th birthday before they could serve.
Oh, wow.
And so districts have actually elected people who were too young to serve, and so therefore they didn't even have any representation until they reached their 25th birthday.
Wow, that's interesting.
Why anybody would elect someone like that, I have no idea.
Well, because the way we're describing the job in the original document, it's sort of like, not it. Who wants to take the long, arduous wagon trip from, Blue Lick, Kentucky,
right,
to go over hill and dale in the rain and the snow and the mud, and highwaymen to go hang out in D.C. where it's hot and humid and yicky.
And the water's bad.
Or you could stay back at Blue Lick, Kentucky and, run your farm and distill your corn. And
right. One of the things that I recall about Abraham Lincoln is Abraham Lincoln served in the House of Representatives 2 years, 1 term.
Yep.
But there was this idea that you go for 1 term, then you come back home and someone else takes your place.
Yeah. It should be a rotating sort of deal.
Yeah, a rotating kind of thing.
Almost
as
like
to
picking a jury.
Almost like picking a jury.
Well, there was an
okay.
Old friend of mine said that, you know what, we should elect juries and appoint congressmen. I said, wow, that's kind of an interesting take on it. But that's the idea. Is you go do your 2 years,
right.
Then the next guy in line goes and does his 2 years.
Yeah. That's sort of, there's issues with that.
Oh, absolutely.
We moved away from it. One of them is accountability.
Sure.
I mean, you go there and you do whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, you could paint your face blue and wear a lampshade.
You could.
For 2 years.
Yeah, and who cares? Because you go back home, the voters aren't going to vote for you because you're not going to run again.
Yeah, you're opting out anyway.
Right. So, but anyway, the framers said 25 years of age. They also said 7 years a citizen of the United States. So you can be born in another country.
Yes.
Come here, become a citizen, and get elected. So, again, the idea is to represent the people. And there are parts of the country today, just like then, where there was a lot of immigrants.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
so you've got to reflect
it's fed by immigration, absolutely.
Yeah, so you've got to feed into that. You've got to deal with that.
Yeah.
And so here's a way to do that. 7 years is not an onerous period of time.
Yeah.
So, We've elected people in Congress through our history whose knowledge of English was pretty limited because it was their second language.
Sure.
But again, they were elected by their voters. So.
Yeah, I'm thinking specifically districts in, say, Cincinnati and St. Louis in the 1850s were very heavily German.
Okay.
And so that would make perfect sense.
Okay, and I'm sitting here thinking, my own family, Italian side, and there were districts in New York and Boston, partly. And there were districts where, lo and behold, there was Italians who came there, learned some skills or got some skills or something, got elected to Congress.
And now look at the makeup of Congress. I mean, we have our first hijab-wearing Muslim.
Correct. Woman
from Somalia.
Yes, born in Somalia.
Yeah.
Came here to the United
So
States.
a pretty good example of what we're talking about here.
Yeah. And she came here, I forgot how old she was. But she was a refugee, and now she's in Congress. So the framers, I think, would appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the great things about the United States is you can be born in a scumbucket place somewhere else in the world.
Right.
And next thing you know, you're a member of Congress.
You're a member of Congress. Now, I do want to point out one thing. They specifically use the he, the masculine pronoun in this thing. And at that time, that was all that they would have ever thought of.
We'll talk about that later on as well.
We will. And so when we think about members of Congress today, like this woman who came from Somalia, you know, in a sense, the framers were thinking of her, but they weren't thinking of her. They would be thinking of a him.
Sure.
So anyway, that's it for...
Just like Baptist. Thinking of hymns.
Oh, okay. That was a joke.
Sorry.
All right. And the audience is laughing.
They're groaning.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't have anything else to say. What about you, Don?
Calf rope. We're done with this one.
All right. Very good.
So we'll be right back with the next line in the Constitution in the next episode. Thanks.